So this video is about a cute little farmhouse hutch that needed a lot of work. It needed work on the doors top and bottom. It was missing glass, had a big chunk missing, and so we're going to try to fix all of that. First thing we needed to do is peel off all of the wallpaper that was on the back of this cute little piece. Also, the inside on the bottom had wallpaper too that needed to be peeled off. So it was already a creamy color and I kind of liked the color, so I started with cake batter from DIY Paints. All of the paints I used here are DIY, no VOC. Not low, but no VOC. So I did the whole thing, the base coat of cake batter. Next, what I wanted to do is add a little bit of salt wash to fix, or to add in that area that I had a big chunk missing. Not that big, but big enough that it was noticeable. And the salt wash will give it a textured look like it's an old hutch, which it really is, but I could not figure out another way to fix this door without building a new door, and I was not going to do that. So I add some salt wash to my paint, and salt wash is a powdery form. You mix it with your paint, it has no color, and then you just dab it on. Once the salt wash dries, it will form hard peaks, so you do need to sand it. Now for the rest of this, I just basically blended. I introduced a new color. It's called Queen Bee. It's a brighter, bolder yellow. Cake batter was really pretty, but I found it to be a little bit too light, and I wanted this, as usual, to have a little bit of drama. So for the rest of the painting, as far as this piece goes, I just kept mixing and blending actually, not mixing, Queen Bee for that brighter, bolder yellow, white, and also a little bit of cake batter here and there. So the next thing I wanted to do was put on this little French transfer from IOD. It just says welcome to our home, and this is pretty easy to use. All you have to do is just make sure you have it centered, and then just peel it off the white plastic, put the clear plastic on there, tape it up so you make sure it stays where you want it, and then with the little stick that comes in with your transfer, you're just gonna rub it on and it's gonna adhere to what you're putting it onto. You can always pull back and check and make sure. If it's not sticking, you can just go back and keep rubbing it on. So remember the wallpaper that we took off from the top of this little hutch? I actually saved it. I'm going to use it as a template for the decoupage paper that I want to put in there in its place. So this way I don't have to actually measure so much. The wallpaper did come in 2 pieces, so I'm going to tape it together, and then I'm going to use my 1 sheet of decoupage paper for the whole top of this cabinet. So once I have my wallpaper taped with a painter's tape, because we are going to be using paper, I am going to put my decoupage paper on top of it, and I am going to make sure I line it up, and I'm going to tape that with the painter's tape, and then I'm going to cut. So I'm starting with the top of the decoupage paper, and the bottom of the decoupage paper is going to go on the other half of this wallpaper that we have here. So once I have my top half of my decoupage paper lined up with the wallpaper that we pulled off of the piece right here, I am just going to begin to cut, and just right along the edge of the wallpaper. This way I don't have to measure, and I'm pretty sure it's going to come out as close as can be without me having to measure. Once I'm done with that, I am going to flip it over and then I'm going to make sure that my bottom half aligns with my top half of the decoupage paper as best as possible. It's not going to be perfect because it is the bottom half of a top half, but it's going to be pretty close, and this paper is pretty forgiving, so it's not like it has to be exact, and it's going to be inside the cabinet, so it's going to be okay, and you won't really be able to tell, but you're just going to make sure you get it as close as possible. And then I'll tape that part, and then I'm just going to just cut right down the middle, and I'll have my 2 pieces of decoupage paper that will be acting as a wallpaper. It's time to get the decoupage paper inside the cabinet, and I'm going to use some Mod Podge glue, and I'm going to work in sections because the glue tends to dry quickly, and then we're just going to put our cut pieces in there. And once we have our pieces in there,